Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam!
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do. You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Happy Monday, moviegoers. Welcome to episode 230, and welcome to a new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast, the podcast where we talk about movies.
So enthusiastic.
So enthusiastic. It's, you know what? It's a DC movie. What can I say?
You can say a lot of things.
That's true. I'm your host, Juan, and I'm joined by the three amigos. Zach.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Craig.
Yellow.
Edward.
How's it going, folks?
You know what? Edward, I had a whole entrance set up for you, big nice theme song and everything, but I didn't hit the button in time. But I'm excited to talk some movies with you guys today. We're going to talk Black Adam, which is currently streaming on the HBO Max.
Ooh.
And it stars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. If anybody's been living under a rock the past 6 months since it's been out. But if you guys are joining us for the first time, last week we talked about Don't Worry, Darling, another kind of mediocre cat fest. That was a little too hairy for my taste. But if you want to hear us talk about that movie, go back and listen to the episode wherever you listen to podcasts. iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, Anchor, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, Deezer, or you can watch on demand on this YouTube channel, Imsawa Productions. You can also find us and hit us up on the social media. Facebook.com/The Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The Instagram is all one word, The Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The Twitter is at Cine-Men405. And then the email bag. You guys can hit us up in the email bag at CINEMEN921@gmail.com. But today we are talking one Black Adam. I did promise that we would talk about some recent watches. Did anybody have anything that they wanted to bring up that was noteworthy about maybe introducing something to the listeners, or any recommendations before we get into the movie? I'll name off Zach, go ahead.
Other than, I really haven't watched anything other than The Last of Us episode 3 dropped last night. It's a different feel for the show, but it was really well done. So I don't know if any of y'all got to check it out yet, but it's still on a roll. So
other than Megan, which I did not get to talk about on Friday the 14th podcast this past week, I was not on there. Megan was
not as good as they said.
Like Drake and Josh, Megan.
No, not that Megan. I don't even know who Drake and Josh is.
You missed out.
Natural Born Killers. I did watch that this past week. Woody Harrelson, Quentin Tarantino written, but he did not direct it. The big highlight of my week, really, watch-wise, was checking out the Royal Rumble this past Saturday. Some WWE action. Pretty entertaining. It was honestly more entertaining than the movie we're about to talk about today. So, Craig, Ed, you guys check anything out?
I've just been watching The Office for the past 10 days or so. Really, I think we're on season 5, about midway through.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Craig?
I watched a movie on Netflix. I think it's called Home. Home. It has Rihanna, Jennifer Lopez, and what's the guy from The Big Bang Theory?
Oh, Jim Parsons.
Yeah, Jim Parsons.
Oh, okay. The animated movie Home. That's pretty funny. Yeah. That's a pretty funny movie.
It was funny. It not one to stick with me
No.
It's not one that I'll come back and it's not. Let's be fair, it's not a Disney movie. It's not. Didn't have that.
But that's how it is when newcomers from other universes come to our city and town and state. We got to talk to them like they're a little illiterate sometimes. You got to take them to the local Slurpee shop and get them a little Slurpee. But today, guys, we are talking Black Adam, so let's jump into it. Currently, IMDb has it at 6.4. Rotten Tomato score is at 38%. The Meta score is at 41%, while the Google users like it at 76%. The budget was $260 million, and it only grossed $390 million at the box office. Nearly 5,000 years after he was bestowed with the almighty powers of the Egyptian gods and imprisoned just as quickly, Black Adam is freed from his earthly tomb, ready to unleash his unique form of justice on the modern world.
Technically, that's false.
Technically, that's on IMDb.
I know, but technically it's false. Because the gods did not bestow power on The Rock.
Correct. But that's the spoiler-free synopsis. So that's probably why it's incorrect.
How is it dog, just... They gave him powers like Shazam. Leave it at that.
Currently,
always got to make things hard.
Starring Dwayne Johnson, Aldous Hodge, Pierce Brosnan. Zach, we'll start with you. Did you get to see this monstrosity?
Does anyone want to talk about this today?
Yeah,
I did actually. Had a few extra hours before I went and saw David Spade, so I went and checked this out. And originally, I thought it was fine,
what was better,
but
David
like
Spade or
nothing.
This?
Oh, David Spade. Without a doubt.
This is knocking foots. Yeah,
This is. I mean, I thought it was fine originally. Nothing special. I really thought it was kind of cringy, but on this rewatch, this is awful. I really try to stay away from this, calling this one of the worst movies of the year, but it's close, if not on there. So,
wow, one of the worst movies of the year. Call it bias, call it a guilty pleasure. I kind of had an entertaining time watching this movie. Kind of. There's a lot to nitpick from it, but if I just sat back and watched the action and The Rock, I kind of enjoyed this movie. But I had a lot of issues with the side characters. I had a lot of issues with the surrounding cast. And my biggest pet peeve of the entire thing, there's no payoff now that we all know what just happened with DC and Warner Brothers. And I think that's what left a bad taste in my mouth. But we'll get into it. Ed, what about you?
First time watch for me this past week. I didn't mind it. It definitely wasn't like the best. I definitely won't call it the worst. But it had potential to grow, I feel. So, yeah.
I already have some of the stuff up on the social media. Let us know what you guys think of this movie, because we'll definitely dig into the email bag next week or the week after and get into y'all's thoughts on Black Adam, because it was definitely one of the most diverse movies of 2022. But I want to dig into it.
what about you, Craig? What do you think?
Oh yeah,
I was gonna say, yeah, screw me, right?
Yeah.
At parts it was cool. At other part, most of the time I was just like, it's DC at its finest. It's the typical superhero thing that they've come to be known for, where they just everything is there, and they set the oven too high or too low, and the product just comes out burnt or not done. And
Lumpy.
That's my thoughts.
It's lumpy or crusty.
It's lumpy, but I do still think that this had better CGI and was more entertaining than some Marvel movies that came out last year.
CGI wise, there were some parts that were rough, but there are some parts. Every DC movie has that CGI that makes it just feel like it's comic booky. And like it's
Yeah.
sometimes a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. Where Marvel's CGI was just plain bad last year for the most part. But yeah, I agree with you. The side characters, the side cast didn't do it for me.
Terrible.
I even think the introduction, it was pretty cool seeing Viola Davis's character in there, because
Garrett Waller.
it kind of felt good seeing what could have been from this movie.
Everything connecting.
Yeah, everything finally starting to connect. The post-credit scene, which we'll get into, but initially meeting Black Adam when he comes out and he's just introduced and he has that injustice like Batman Arkham Asylum fighting style going on when you first get introduced to him, I thought was pretty kick ass. I thought this movie was not definitely somebody called it cringeworthy. Zach, somebody. I don't know. I don't know if it's that bad. Like I said, I think I would have been more entertained by this movie if it dropped to like an hour and 45 minutes instead of 2 solid hours. Because there was definitely times in this movie where he was maybe helping find the kid, the little boy. First of all, I did not enjoy the little boy at all. But let's dig into it. Ed, we'll start with you. What do you think? Some of the what was some of your pet peeves of the movie?
I will agree with the boy. It felt the boy and his mom. They felt, because it's okay. Other than waking him up and all that, and kind of being part of the society he grew up in as well, and maybe seeing him as a son, what were their true takes? I mean, the son, the young boy, pushed along a few things at first, and then later on, it was just like, hey, kill those guys. Well, those guys. Oh well, I'm kidnapped. And then the mom took over and was like, well, those guys, kill those guys.
Get my son.
It didn't feel like he's just like, I bow to nobody, kind of
thing. He was bowing to those people.
And it's just like, look, man, like, I'm not trying to have a mental, like, Superman that's just wanting to kill anybody who gets in his way because he wants that coffee or whatever. I'm not trying to say it like that. But, like, it seemed like Black Adam was the only one that had, like, a kind of slightly developing story with him.
Okay. Are you guys, who, because I kind of got some judgment from this in October, who is now glad that we did not go spend money in this and watch it opening weekend?
Oh, I can't, because I spent money on this opening weekend.
Zach, put your fucking hand down.
I get 3 free tickets a week, and I'd have been pissed if I went to see this.
No. It's not even. I'm not even pissed off that this is connected to anything or anything like that. Well, other than the idea of the post-credit scene, which really sets up something very interesting, there's nothing at all like redeeming about this movie, in my opinion. I mean, Dwayne Johnson kind of does some cool things. I think the Paint It Black, like, slow motion sequence where he comes out and destroys like the whole army or whatever, that's okay. It kind of reminded me a little bit of a Zack Snyder film. This has a lot of like Zack Snyder qualities to it, in my opinion, to the point where it's just like, did he direct the movie instead of whoever this other guy was?
I think it would have been better if Zack Snyder did direct it.
Oh, this would have been like 2.5 hours though.
But maybe it would have been a lot better. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, essentially, what Dwayne Johnson said, they've been building this for 9 years or something like that. So, you get 9 years and all that, and it's kind of just, I mean, okay, for something that got built back years ago and wasn't greenlit for years, say Deadpool for that matter, compared to this. And I know it's a totally kind of different thing, but it's kind of a similar in a way. One's built, the other one's built, and now one paid off successfully.
I don't think you can compare the two like that, though.
Oh, I'm just saying the build-ups, basically. Because they're both built up, and one kind of fell not flat on its face.
Like I said, you can't really compare the two like that because every superhero movie is built up. Every superhero movie really goes into pre-production like 5, 6, 8 years before the movie is even announced. Like I think this is key point of giving Dwayne Johnson and his producers too much creative control of who's in
Yeah.
the movie and who's not in the movie. Because I think when you look at a Dwayne Johnson movie, you have to look at if he has creative control in the movie. Look at his surrounding cast. Not a very good movie,
Yeah.
or if you look at a movie where he doesn't really have a lot of say so in it, like maybe Hobbs and Shaw, they load the movie up with a pretty good surrounding cast, and even though it's a outrageously fun popcorn flick, it's a pretty entertaining movie,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
I agree.
you get the complete opposite with Black Adam here. It's like, oh, I need my $30 million for this film. Let's hire somebody off the streets. Let's bring somebody in from the Walmart checkout line to be one of the main villains.
Well, and to me, like, and one of the other things, I mean, I think all of us like Dwayne Johnson. Outside of being an actor, all the stories you hear, he's like such a nice guy and everything. But I am sick and tired of him saying that this was like profitable than what it really was. This movie barely made above Shazam. He's acting like this is going to change cinema, like this is Top Gun Maverick, and
This
it's
movie
nowhere near that.
with the due to the dirt sheets, this movie technically lost $150 million at the box office.
Yeah.
So,
And part of it is no one knows who this character is unless you are in the lore of DC or whatever.
Yeah, they were baiting on The Rock kind of saving this movie and making it. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's The Rock. I don't really know this character, but I know The Rock. Let's go see it." And
Yeah.
I think word of mouth after people watched it drastically hurt this because after people came out and watched it and they put it on Twitter like, "Oh, Black Adam, it's The Rock. Yes, it's cool, but it's not that good." And people are going to shy away if they hear something's not that good, even though it has somebody like The Rock in it. It doesn't matter if you're, The Rock, John Cena, Tom Cruise. If somebody says the movie's with the price of movie tickets in today's economy,
they're not going to go see it.
You're not going to go see it, especially when what else came out when this was coming out? Do we know?
You had movies like Smile, Barbarian come out.
Halloween Kills. Halloween Ends just came out.
Halloween Ends, which I don't think is a big difference because Halloween Ends was on streaming on Peacock. Top Gun Maverick was still in the top 2 at the box office in October.
Yeah, we're about a week. We're about a week away from Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. So
yeah, that's what it was. Black Panther was coming out, and yeah, it's just it is what it is.
Well, and my thing is like, now that we know, like, DC, I think all of us can agree DC is just such in shambles right now. We don't know what is, what isn't, who is it, who's out, who's in. Let's just go ahead and talk about it. Well,
we know James Gunn is in, and we know
we know
Robert Pattinson and the Batman is in, and we know that Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is in.
Right.
The Flash gets his opportunity in June, I believe. But where this opportunity and where this movie is crap. Let's face it. I don't think there's going to be Black Adam 2. There's not going to be a Rock in the DC anymore. They've already announced Henry Cavill's departure. I think it's time to just build around your young Batman, your Robert Pattinson, and go from there.
Because that's the best ticket they've got right now. If you asked me 3 years ago, I would have said Gal Gadot.
Yeah, but I think she's out now.
She's gone. Yeah, they're all gone. Like I said, the only concrete you have right now signed on to a multi-picture deal is Robert Pattinson.
Even Jason Momoa, he's out too.
He's gone.
Okay, after 2, he's gone. Huh. Damn.
Well, and that's the thing though, because we still have the Flash and Aquaman 2, and I'm just like, why are even? I get what you're saying, Johnny, about seeing Michael Keaton in the Batman suit. That's cool and everything, but is this even going to matter? Truthfully, honestly,
it's probably not going to matter. But I'm going to be sitting there day one on HBO Max watching it.
But I think with those 2 films, we shouldn't go in as does it matter? Because honestly, the Batman, if they're going to do anything, I think the Batman is their starting point. I think the Batman needs to be the Iron Man. of whatever James Gunn is trying to do or wants to do or is going to do. It needs to be that Iron Man of that,
And,
And I
and you see,
mean,
I kind of disagree in that I think James Gunn should just do his own thing and leave Robert
Exactly.
Pattinson's Batman out of it. Just
Yeah.
let his Batman be its own thing.
Well,
I think Robert Pattinson's Batman is built for Arkham. I don't think Robert Pattinson's Batman is built for a DCEU. It needs to stay away from anything, and it just needs to deal with the Joker, Harley Quinn, and that universe.
I agree.
See, I agree with everybody in this picture, but I'm the opposite as well. I agree that they need to focus on Robert Pattinson. James Gunn needs to do his own thing, but I also agree that James Gunn and DC need to just not pay attention to what Marvel did in the past and what Marvel's doing.
Yes.
You don't need to build a universe within the next 5 years.
No, that's what I'm saying. Just let Batman be Batman.
Yeah,
don't add him to anything else.
Let all these superhero movies be themselves. Don't make a universe around them just yet.
Yeah,
well,
let them have their own little thing and tell their story, and then
worry about
if you feel right about it, go about it.
Well, if that's the case, then why did they hire a Marvel director to run the film industry? I mean, I get James Gunn is a good director, but he made one of the most profitable movies at Marvel, which is Guardians. Like, why would they do that? Why not just hire somebody else to do it?
Because didn't he do Suicide Squad before they added him to the
to the like
so maybe they saw what Suicide Squad was and they were like, look, we like your direction with it, we like how you went about it.
Yeah.
Which I mean, if
take over.
It kind of feels like, if they're going to do anything with the DC EU for that matter, then they would have had Zack Snyder in James Gunn's current seat. Simply just because, like, what he did, the fan reception for that, and it might have,
They did have Zack Snyder in James Gunn's seat before.
And it didn't work.
But it backfired so badly that they had to cut him loose.
Let's talk about this, because this whole DC debacle and episode has been years in the making. Let's talk about what would have happened if fans would have just stayed off the internet and enjoyed the Zack Snyder movies that were coming out. And if people just went and saw movies at the box office, we all still here kind of agree that Man of Steel, the uncut version of Batman versus Superman, the Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League, he was going in the right direction. But yes, it wasn't fans alone, but you guys also have to look. Warner Brothers reacted to what the fans were saying on the internet. A, they were trashing these movies. B, they weren't going to go see these movies after they were trashing them. And then 4 or 5 years later, we get the hashtag Snyder Cut, and guess what? By then, it was too late.
I agree with that, but at the same time, yes, we were excited for what was or what could have been, but some of those movies weren't. Like, just because people were upset and saying things on the internet doesn't mean it's the people's fault that those movies were what they were. Like, yes, it was cool. The concept of what they were trying to do was cool, but some of those movies aren't the greatest.
We just kind of got done talking about some of them this year. I don't think we talked about the uncut version of Batman versus Superman just yet, but I mean, we talked about Man of Steel. We talked about the Snyder version of Justice League. We all agree that the uncut version of Batman versus Superman is a much better film than the theatrical cut. Zack Snyder was headed in the right direction. All these movies we're talking about, if we're going on the 1 through 10 scale, is at least a 7 or 6 or 7. In our eyes, they're pretty good movies, but it's still like when you're taking. Sorry, I'm getting excited. When you're taking what Zack Snyder's pushing out, and you're wanting to just, everybody was so fast and wanting to just hurry up and compare them to Marvel, and the DC needs to hurry up and be Marvel. Of course, you're going to get, executives are going to be looking at it, and you're like, oh, compared to this franchise, you're not doing so well. So let's cut the Snyderverse of Justice League. Compared to this movie, let's make Batman versus Superman an R-rated movie down to a PG-13 movie, and let's just make it a choppy-looking piece of shit, which they did with most of his movies. It's not fair that the executives compared it to Marvel. The fans wanted him to be Marvel, and at the end of the day, I think we should have just appreciated the kind of dark movies that he was pushing out.
Well, so if Zack Snyder is making these films and he was doing it to create a universe, and the executives were like, okay, if you're going to make a universe, we need you to compete with Marvel, and Marvel's doing it this way. So, like, and then the fans are like, okay, you guys are doing a universe and you're doing it like Marvel, but it's not as good as Marvel. It's the whole pizza
It's a
thing.
vicious cycle.
It's a whole debacle. Which at the end of the day, the only person who really could have helped himself was nobody. Zack Snyder could have pushed out a 24-karat solid piece of gold, and people would have been like, compared to Infinity War, it's a piece of shit.
He would have put out 24 carats worth of gold, and then the execs would have cut it down to make it 12. Like that's the issue, is the executives.
Right.
The executives built DC, not Zack. Like, yes, Zack Snyder, when he had full control, we got Man of Steel.
Correct. That's the issue. But you also have to look at it when Batman versus Superman got pushed out. Go look at how much money that it didn't make. And I know it's because they fished it in between Civil War and what was the other? Zach, there's two Avengers
Deadpool.
movies. Yeah, but it
was in between Deadpool and Civil War, technically.
Yeah, right. It came out like 2 weeks before Civil War did, and like, I understand that it's fished in right before a huge Marvel movie, but the DC fans, I feel like, also should have some finger to blame here too, because it's the first time on a massive screen that you get these two characters in one movie, and they didn't deliver. They didn't show up.
To be fair, I never liked Batman or Ben Affleck as Batman.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, nobody knew what he was going to be before. This was the first movie that was going to have him as Batman, and none of the DC fans. It did not make any money.
I think the "Do You Bleed" in the trailer really pissed people off. Do you bleed?
Well, and to me, it's just like, you're right, Johnny. When you have those two types of characters on screen for the very first time in a live action movie, that movie alone should make $1 billion. Yeah. Batman versus Superman.
I mean, let's go ahead and even talk more about execs getting in too much, and even with going on with Henry Cavill, for that matter,
even with Black Adam.
Yeah. So I mean, Henry Cavill, is kind of getting tired of getting pushed around with what was it?
Man of Steel?
No, the series, The Witcher. Because they're all like, well, it's like he did open Bible about this. It's like, go to season 4, episode 2 of this book, blah blah blah, and he'll, go from that. And it's like, okay, cool, but I'm trying to push towards the fans and open up their heads and to the real ones that have read all this, that have done all that and gone from there. He's trying to help with that, and they're just like, you just need to stop shitting on my creation, because you're just this isn't your creation, this is your take on the created content. You are doing a take on it. So I mean, it's just the same with this. A lot of people need to stop and think, this is this director's take on this creation. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, the creators of Batman, long been dead. The creators of Superman, been dead. They've been around since the mid-30s. Been dead. Sorry.
Does anybody also have, anybody else also think that the failure of Batman versus Superman, we're off it comes out 2.5 years after The Dark Knight Rises, 3 years after The Dark Knight Rises? Yeah. You think that might have anything to do with, the success?
It's nowhere near what that franchise was, that trilogy.
We were still kind of in the vein of the Christopher Nolan universe, and we were trying to translate what Christopher Nolan did and put it in a Zack Snyder movie and make it a whole universe. And just, there were aspects of it that worked, but overall it just wasn't the right combination.
Well, not only that, but then you've got at the end of the Dark Knight Rises, they're teasing Robin, for that matter. So I mean, everybody was like, oh, where's that going? And it went to nothing. It went to that specific scene and died.
Again, though, perfect explanation of DC fans should have just went and enjoyed the movie and paid the ticket to go see Batman versus Superman. I think maybe if 10 times the amount of people went and saw that movie, that probably were supposed to, I think that franchise gets kicked off in a whole nother way.
That's
Agreed.
possible, yeah.
It's kind of the same thing with Black Adam. What did you guys think with some of the stuff with the new aged young heroes in this movie? You got like Adam Smasher, Cyclone, and then you got Mister Doctor Fate, which is played by Pierce Brosnan.
I enjoy Pierce Brosnan.
So did I.
He seemed like the elder,
Wiser one.
understanding one. You know,
Yeah,
he knows what's going on.
I enjoyed Pierce Brosnan. I enjoyed it was a little bit. What was it, Hawkman?
Hawkman. I enjoyed Hawkman.
I enjoyed it a little bit. The two green guys, it's like, were they sitting there and they were like, all right, our budget is The Rock, Pierce Brosnan, this guy, and it's like, we are out of money. We got to find some people who'll do this for a box of pizza and burrito. And
I
we're just like,
I didn't enjoy Adam Smasher. I think it would have been funny as hell if you already have Henry Winkler and there's a cameo. I think it would have been funny if he was just Adam Smasher.
And I mean, he just seemed kind of, I don't know what's going on. And understandably, that's kind of a hard role to fill. But at the same time, it's just like, you've been briefed on nothing.
Yeah, and like he's running away from the battle, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know how to do this. I don't know." He was trying to be a comedy relief, and it's like, if you've never been in this situation, why in the world would these two guys ask you to come and be a part of this situation? Like, it just didn't make sense.
When one is supposedly able to see the future, and then the other is highly trained in combat.
You could see the future that this dude was about to be asked.
There was a lot of plot. There was a lot of plot holes left in this film as far as like why is who and who is where.
Out of those two, Cyclone was better, but not much.
Cyclone was a lot better compared to Adam Smasher.
I hated all of the slow mo in this movie.
Oh my god, it was so overdone. It's ridiculous.
It's like when anytime she was flying, it was like ooh, and I'm just like, dude, I'm done with the slow mo. Like, this is the same shit with Wonder Woman and her little theme song in Justice League. Every time she came on screen, you'd hear that Amazonian music. It's like, I'm done.
What'd you guys think of the uncle? Stay away from electricity.
That was fun.
I'm an electrician.
He got on my nerves so
This
badly.
tried to be too funny.
Like Edward?
It just tried to be too funny and it wasn't. The funny scene, though, was after Dr. Fate told him that he was going to die to electricity, and he rolled up in the car with it playing, Hotel California?
Yeah.
And he's just like, don't worry, I'm only going to die to electricity. And he just starts fucking going crazy on these skeletons. I'm like, okay, that's funny. Because he knows, like, that's his death is not here. Like, that's funny.
Yeah.
Did you think, I felt like the comedy relief of Adam Smasher was forced? Like they were wanting him to be that Spider-Man / Ant-Man of the movie, and it was just like not working.
That to me was probably the most cringiest. Was just the comedy. When the comedy didn't hit, it was bad.
They directly tried to copy Ant-Man with him, and you don't need to.
No,
he could come in and be this badass dude.
Well, I mean, Dr. Fate in a certain way is like Doctor Strange, if you really think about it. Different aspects.
Similar, but it's like more of like a metaphysical magic, I guess, is what.
Yeah.
Well, this movie was also written by 3 different people. Plus, you have directing from the guy who directed The Shallows, Orphan, and Unknown, House of Wax.
I think the side characters would have been way better off taking, I don't know, Starfire and Robin or something from the Teen Titans show on HBO. Like, you could have taken 2 characters from that show alone, threw them in this movie.
You know, kind of confused me, and I really agree with what you're trying to say, Craig. What really confused me is they brought in Viola Davis, and she kind of made it seem like, hey, I need a Suicide Squad to go get Black Adam. What would have made perfect sense is like, hey, why don't we just go send some of the Suicide Squad from James Gunn movie send two,
Yeah.
3 of them to go and pick
You
up
take,
Yeah.
take Polka Dot Man and
the shark.
the shark and one other person from it. You're good.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you don't need to get Idris Elba or anyone. Yeah, get the polka dot man, get the shark and the girl that talked to the rats, and yeah, it would have been a good translation over from James Gunn's movie.
Because it just really puzzled me when she was introduced, and she's like, "Oh, I need somebody to go." The world's not ready for somebody like him, and it just felt like it was a suicide. It could have been a a Suicide Squad mission.
DC's
Yeah.
issue right now is that every movie feels like they're trying to retell you the same old story.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's
god!
like, oh,
yes.
you never saw Suicide Squad? We have to tell you exactly what Miss Waller does and what she's trying to do. It's like,
And,
you don't.
and don't get me wrong, I love Viola Davis. She's one of the greatest actors. She is better than this franchise. I don't understand. Like that's like the one like string that's still dangling from the Snyder universe. It's just like, okay, we still got to bring in Viola Davis somehow. It's like, no, we don't. Just
I see why they bring her in. A, she's a name, and B, she's pretty ruthless when she's on camera. It doesn't matter if it's the Suicide Squad, 2016 Suicide Squad, or even her small cameo in this movie. You want to hate her fucking guts whenever she's on the screen because she plays that character so good.
yeah, but that's true. But this is not a Viola Davis movie. This is a Dwayne Johnson.
Well, it should be. Maybe they should focus a franchise around Viola Davis.
They did.
And you know what? Well, did it?
And
Because
it didn't work.
2016 Suicide Squad?
2016's might not have worked, but I mean, she was in the Suicide Squad. That's what I'm saying. That she does that character so good that she don't need to go away.
But I agree with Zach to a sense. Like, if you're wanting to reboot the entire DC, you need to get rid of everybody that was ever a part of that. Because if you don't, people are going to think that there's a tie-in somewhere with it.
So what do we do 11 months from now? I think that's when it comes out in November. Should we just not even go see Aquaman?
If he's not a part of it, no, I probably not.
What about Shazam? Shazam comes out in March.
I will because Shazam was funny as hell.
But
and
again,
I'm surprised.
That is
why didn't they tie Shazam into this? I mean, I know it technically is, but why not bring Zachary Levi into this since it's part of the Shazam universe?
It's going to be really frustrating. We go see Shazam. We go see Shazam, and Dwayne Johnson has a cameo in Shazam when he's done with the DC. It's just going to be like, wait a minute, I thought you were done. No, wait, you're done. Wait, why is he here?
It would be the Spider-Man meme of like failing franchises.
Yeah. Wait, you're done? No, you're done. Wait, I'm done? No, you're done. I am me. You are you.
Me, Tarzan.
Me, Amy.
Me, Amy. Me, Amy.
Yeah. I keep seeing that trailer for the new Shazam, and I'm just like, it looks interesting, but
Shazam does look pretty good.
Kill me now, please. There's no reason to go see these fucking movies. Just kill me now.
I'm not gonna go see Aquaman, point blank. I mean, is Amber Heard even in it?
Mm-mm.
I don't think so.
No reason to. All right. I'm just looking ahead.
Ed is about to have a stroke over here.
They should cast a Johnny Depp character that is the villain of that Aquaman movie. There's a reason she's no longer here.
Like I said, I mean, this movie wasn't complete. This movie was complete, hot garbage. Like I said, I enjoyed some of the characters. The CGI, we kind of got our thoughts on the CGI. It wasn't good, but a lot of it was better than some of the Marvel movies from last year. I think this movie is much better than Eternals, Black Widow, and Doctor Strange 2. I kind of enjoyed this more than Doctor Strange 2.
Just because it was fresh.
But let's kind of talk about where does we kind of got into a little bit more with all the CGI and with the hero and the fresh new take on Black Adam. What would you guys like to see? There's also the Blue Beetle movie coming out this year. DC's Blue Beetle. Thoughts?
Honestly,
I don't even know
haven't
what
seen
that
anything
is.
on Spooky.
So
It's a DC's first Latin American superhero, the Blue Beetle. He's
hmm.
I don't know if it's going to tie in anything, but this might be DC's first start to just give us a brand new hero and it not tying to anything, and let us just go watch a good action flick. So, um, let's talk about what could have been. The ending was pretty badass. Let's talk about the last like 15 minutes or so. The chair is obviously. Let's talk about the chair for a minute. This demon-like character who looks like Dr. Manhattan but big red version comes in. he, he wants to sit down on this throne of lies, and once he takes the throne, he is like the leader of Egypt, right, or
The
whatever, wherever they're in.
underworld.
Gundar.
Gundar Mahal, Jinder Mahal. He's going to be the leader. So once he sits down, Black Adam's like, "No, you're not sitting down. You smell what the Rock is cooking. Get out of here." He lays a smack down on Big Red.
See, that would have been it. Throw some
Why did
rocks
you
up
write the
in there.
movie?
He lays the smack down on Big Red. He sits on the throne. He's like, "You smell what the Rock is cooking," and then he's like, "I don't smell it just yet. That's a bad idea. I'm not going to be the great one." And then he smashes the chair, and he does the eyebrow thing in the movie, and he's like, "There can only be one World Wrestling Federation." I mean, no, wrong Rock movie.
You know what would have been cool is like moving forward after that's written. Black Adam meets Superman, and then at the beginning of the next film, Black Adam is fighting Superman. Black Adam beats Superman, and he holds him up like the wrestling belt. He's like, "I'm the world wrestling champion. I'm the world superhero champion." And then you have a Royal Rumble with all these misfit characters from the DC universe.
Oh, you spoiled the whole thing. The Superman's in this movie?
Oh, theoretically, if he was.
Let's talk about it though.
He's
The
technically not in the movie.
Beetlejuice is out of the bag. Let's talk about it. What did you guys think of the end? Obviously Black Adam, the title card hits. I think that's a smart way because technically you don't get a beginning title card scene of Black Adam. They save it for the end of the movie because they're, what should we call you?
Oh my god,
Black Adam. And then, the title card pops up.
Why is his name Adam?
Tenneth Adam, right? Teth Adam. Teth.
yeah,
Sounds like
that. Yeah.
Mike.
You got a list. Mike Tyson. You got Teth Adam over here.
Mike Tyson's trying to say test. Tesla Adam.
Teth Adam.
Tenneth.
Just
Superman cameo, which I thought was pretty cool. What do you guys think of Superman's little cameo?
That was about the best part of the movie. I mean, honestly.
I think it's the worst.
I think it's the worst too because it got me set up for something that I'm not going to see.
Exactly.
But don't get me wrong. That's the anticipation. That's not necessarily the scene, for that matter.
It's like you can be like, dude, that's not the same Superman that came and talked to you, dog. Where's that Superman? I want him.
Zach wanted Michael B. Jordan Superman to come up and talk to him.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I mean, that make it like 10 times the movie that we watched. I'll be honest. I mean, again, you set it. It sets up a really cool idea that, once again, with the problem with DC, it does not go nowhere. It's not going to go anywhere.
But then, as y'all are just griping,
Wait
fans
a second.
that are going ahead and like, well, this didn't do what I thought it was going to do. This sucks, even though it was good. It sucks.
Guys, why are we shouldn't even have talked about this until the Flash movie, because the Flash movie is going to reset everything that happened.
True.
And the world will be right again. Superman's not going to be Henry Cavill. He's going to be Michael B. Jordan.
I mean, that's kind of how we all feel about movies sometimes that we don't like. Ed, there's parts of The Menu that you like, but you still thought it was a shitty movie.
Yeah, it was The Menu. I'm just...
It was Tyler's bullshit.
I'm kidding.
There's ingredients, but it's still bullshit.
I enjoyed the concept of this film. I just did not like that. At the end of the day, when I'm watching it, it's not going to get to go anywhere.
Yep.
But I did enjoy. I did enjoy the film as a whole action movie. If I'm watching the action movie not as a DC fan, but just as an action flick, it's a pretty entertaining movie.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there was good parts overall. The Rock in movies now just feels like
The Rock.
The Rock in a movie. It
Do
doesn't
you
feel
guys
like.
I feel
do
like
you guys think we have Rock fatigue?
What?
Like, just tired of seeing him. He's like in 15 movies in 1 year.
No, I think it's the opposite. I think he should
He's
have
not
been.
enough.
He wants in 30.
I think he should have been a little bit more in this movie. Like, yeah, I know Black Adam. He should have been a little bit dark, and he's not supposed to be humorous. But even in Man of Steel, Henry Cavill was a little humorous. He had that pop in what Henry Cavill did in Man of Steel. The Rock is a charismatic dude. I think he should have brought some of that charismatic energy to Black Adam.
Well, I just don't think he was written that way. I think he was written wrong because Superman, up to that point, has been on Earth for 20-something years. He grew up on Earth, so he understands sarcasm and the concept of laughter. Whereas The Rock
he was like he was like a Terminator in this movie.
Yeah, except he all of a sudden understood sarcasm.
Well,
I think
like
if you're gonna write Black Adam as a Terminator-like character where he doesn't understand human mannerisms, you should have you have a kid in this movie. You should write some of those scenes where he interacts with the kid that way, but not as make it. I think it needed to be a little bit more cheesier.
Write a better kid.
Well, I mean, look, I think he should have had some Edward Furlong scenes with the kid. He picks up like a baby or something, and
like Shazam.
Yeah,
when Shazam turns into an adult and he has those interactions at the liquor store,
yes,
that's perfect because it's not something that he's accustomed to.
Well, that's hold on. I don't think you can compare that though, because at least when he's a little kid in today's world, he's
able to see it. Yes, I agree, but I'm just saying, like in that environment, like that's the kind of humor you need. Not
yeah. Well, you could have wrote jokes for Black Adam as if he was a Terminator. So
but at the same time,
these things for the first time.
He wasn't a Terminator, and it's not like he's never heard sarcasm or anything like that. But he was
like a Terminator.
You think they had sarcasm back in those days when he was getting beat up? And
I'm pretty sure they had forms like that. Hey, yes, not that.
You throw that mud at me, I'm gonna slap you in the face. Like you didn't have that shit back then.
What do you guys think of the twist, though? Because at the beginning of the movie, you feel that that's Black Adam as a kid. Come to find out that's his son. What did you guys think of that little entwine?
I hated that twist.
You didn't like it?
Yeah, it was kind of. It was just like
it was so forced
over here. Yeah.
It's like, by the way,
I'm not who I think I am.
Yeah, I'm not a good guy.
The Mummy Returns.
The Mummy Returns.
If we would have saw Brendan Fraser come out of nowhere, and his brother in the movies, that'd have been funny. In the Mummy movies.
Yeah. I don't know.
Running their ass off.
I just feel like you have a really charismatic actor. The character Black Adam should be just a little bit more charismatic. I don't know.
I guess we'll never know.
And if you want the kid, and I think the whole reason the kid didn't work for me was because he wasn't trying to. It felt like he wasn't trying to interact and be that kid-like friend to The Rock or to Black Adam.
Yeah. He saw him as this god, and he was just like, you're so cool.
Yeah.
The skate scene where it felt like it was 1999, and the music's playing, it's like, like it felt like a DVD menu at the beginning when it would just put up on repeat. You know what I'm talking about? Like when you played Employee of the Month with Dan Cook, and you had that dashboard menu, and you had the same song.
Did he just say Employee of the Month with Dan Cook?
Yeah. Dan Cook's making the comeback. Watch.
I don't know who that is.
What? You just said it, Dan Cook, an Employee of the Month. You know exactly who I'm talking about. You watch your mouth.
I just know that movie.
You probably got the Blu-ray back there.
Jessica Simpson.
And Jessica
Alba?
No, the other one. Is it Jessica Alba in that one?
No, it's Jessica
Just
Simpson
go
Yeah.
Simpsons in that one, yeah.
from Newlyweds with Nick Lachey. I used to watch the show every day. It was on MTV from
How
3
do
to
you-
3:30.
That's a hell of a turnaround. All right. Going from Black Adam to the Newlyweds.
Johnny's like, tell me why.
You had thought about it.
I was more of a
I'm watching MTV.
I was more of a Jessica Simpson irresistible music video kind of guy.
Dude, I
Yes, you
only
were.
know Jessica Simpson because of Tony Romo, dog.
The
That's
Dukes
what I'm
of
talking
Hazzard.
about. Let's not bring up Tony Romo in January, okay?
Oh, shit.
Favorite scene? Does anyone have a favorite scene for this movie?
Look at Zach. He's ready. He's ready to get the fuck out of here.
I'm so done.
My favorite scenes consisted of Dr. Fate. I think he was one of my favorite characters. He was my favorite character in this movie.
I have to say my favorite scene would be Black Adam stopping the bullet from hitting Edward Furlong. I mean the little boy. And then probably I enjoyed where little baby Rock was in the tomb of water with the thing connected to his mouth like Bane. I was born in the dark. I enjoyed when Dr. Fate broke I enjoyed when Dr. Fate broke out Baby Rock. Let's talk about Baby Rock too for a minute, because when he broke out of that water tomb, he was still kicking ass like he was Black Adam.
Yeah,
I mean-
it was quite weird.
Yeah.
Not really, because if you're
he
used
had-
to the mechanics.
He had Steve Urkel's body, but with the rock face.
Well, if you're used to the
You
mechanics,
guys
and
ever
he,
seen the episode of George Lopez when you got a 5-year-old George Lopez with a George Lopez big ass head? That's what.
but I mean, let's look at that. He was a slave. He was used to constant manual labor that was not easy. So he was strong already.
Edward's breaking it down to detail, guys.
No, I agree with Ed right now.
Like, he was strong already. I mean, don't get me wrong. Let's all four of us go out for one day and beat the shit out of rocks at a quarry with a
I'd
pickaxe
rather not.
for at least 12 hours.
He's
I'd
dead
rather
serious, dog. He's dead
Like,
serious.
stopping for 30 minutes to eat, and that's it.
No Burger King.
I doubt any of us would last. I highly doubt that. You know, so I'm saying, like, he already had the strength.
My
and
name
from-
is Baby Rock. I am the better than Shazam.
Start singing that Burger King song.
That's a fucking Burger King song.
Have it
Have
your
it
way. BK. I
What
need
the
you
fuck?
today.
That's what Ed would be singing as he's pounding on the rocks.
I didn't know there was a Burger King song, so
Oh, get
there's
out
that.
of here.
What is it like?
I'm
Whopper,
serious.
Whopper, Chicken Whopper.
Chicken Whopper, eggs, tomato, bacon, lettuce.
Okay, so like we are
Unless we're
officially done
talking about-
talking about this movie.
Unless we're talking about the one Peter Griffin thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, so I feel like I don't think he would have been, of course, as good of a fighter, but remembering the moves is one thing. Having the
Yeah.
strength to do it is another thing. But he's probably still stronger than the average dude today just because of the manual labor that existed back then. And you had no choice. It was either that or die.
So
Or maybe
wait a
watch your kid and wife
Are
die.
we,
So
are we about to
you
get
know.
on this? Are we about to talk about slaves? Because I have something.
No.
Oh, okay.
It's not like that, but he was a slave back when he was
And
alive.
in his defense, when he does
You know?
do the whole Shazam thing, it's not like the mask where he just forgets what happened. Like, he's still going through those experiences.
Hmm.
Just because he's not super strong doesn't mean he don't know how to whoop some ass.
Exactly.
Yes, Johnny. Yes, Johnny, you have a question.
So
Dude, how does that work?
I just want to say one thing about the whole, ordeal, if I can bring it up.
What ordeal?
Ed mentioned it. The whole thing about him being little baby Rock, and then when he says Shazam, he turns into, he goes from 1998 Rock to 2019 Rock.
With hair rock to not with hair rock?
He goes from fanny pack Rock to world champion. I just got to say, after the water scene with little baby Rock, that was my favorite scene. Craig, what about you?
When he pulled the tube out like it was what?
Oh, he pulled the tube out like it was the turkey baster from Don't Breathe.
Yeah.
I was born in the water.
I was thinking something. What other movie has that where they like pull it out and they're just like,
Or where the predator pulls out the spine of that, and he pulls out the spine of the people.
like they got something in their mouth and they pull it out and they're like gagging or oh.
The Matrix.
Yes, that is exactly it. Yeah. That is complete. It looks like you're putting something in, not pulling it out.
You're the one who opened up about wanting 10 inches last week.
Of snow.
Yeah.
Which we got like none.
Yeah.
So we were all sad.
You were sad that you didn't get none. Your shit melted on you. Craig, did you have a favorite scene?
Yeah, I said anything with Dr. Fate.
Okay. Edward, what about you?
I mean, when Black Adam met Amanda Waller and then Superman came out, I thought that was pretty cool. I know it didn't go nowhere, and I know it didn't lead to nothing.
Oh, my bad.
But still.
He's saying it like this ain't fucking No Country for Old Men. I know it ain't going nowhere. I know you don't see the murders at the end.
I'm just saying, I thought that was cool.
Guys, hold on. Spoiler alert. If you have not seen Black Adam, we're at 56 minutes. Pause the episode and go check out Black Adam.
Bro, if they are here still, this is not the time for spoiler
They already
alert.
got the movie. I'm like, damn, Superman was in this? Y'all said it the first 30 seconds?
You know, this was more entertaining than the movie, probably.
You're right, it was.
Why people listen.
Ah. BK, have it your way.
You know, people are going to be sitting there like, no. It's affecting everybody.
You know, if this episode made you want to go get a double Whopper with cheese, we did you a favor.
Someone is listening to this in their
yeah.
Somebody is listening to this in their car right now and passing by a BK. Is like, hold on, let me turn around.
Edward,
I've never been to a BK in my life, but I need that.
Edward, what's my Wi-Fi password?
It's not like
what's
I
your
remember
Wi-Fi password? You said what's your Wi-Fi password?
It's the most entertaining part of the episode, guys. We're talking star rating for Black Adam. Edward, I want you to start me off. Kick us off.
Probably a 5, man.
What? Get out of here. A 5? I got my high-pitched Karen voice.
Just like Booker.
You know, I know that I said that I said that this movie was a little garbage and a little trash. But you know what? Sometimes I like garbage and sometimes I like trash. I'm gonna go with a 7 for this movie. I thought it was fun. I thought it was entertaining. I laughed. I smelt what the Rock I smelt what the Rock was cooking. And you know what? Superman at the end of the movie kind of did it for me. And I thought Black Adam and the Rock as the hero looked really, really cool. I had fun watching this movie. I'm going to give it a 7. Zach?
Right there with you, Ed. It's a 5. Enough said.
Gregory? Young Gregory?
Seven.
That's a 6. 6.
All right.
I was trying to make it a little more dramatic, but yeah. The initial beginning part, I was like really sunk into this movie, and I was like, man, it's going to be really cool. Then I met the kid and the mom, and I was like, yeah, shit's trash. And then I met the side characters, and I was like, yeah, this is even worse.
Garbage.
Then I saw the villain, and I was like, he looks like every other villain that's in a DC movie. Dark, got flames, and he's got horns on his head. Like, they all fight the devil in every movie. So,
kind of reminded me of the devil from Pick of Destiny.
That's a great comparison there.
Jack Black coming out of nowhere.
David Grohl, for that matter. So there's that.
Oh my God.
Oh my.
Okay. That's funny.
Whopper. Ed gets, if you guys want to know, send Ed a Burger King gift card. Double Whopper, double cheese, extra mayo, no onion. Hold the onion. He doesn't like onion.
Do you get onion rings though? Hold the onion. Just deep fry the onions.
Edward, even though we didn't kind of enjoy Shazam, guess what next week is? February 6th, Donnie Darko. We're going back and we're turning on HBO Max again because it's on HBO Max. It's one of Edward's favorite movies, so we got to give him a hard time about BK today. Edward, you excited for Donnie Darko?
I really am, man. I really, really am. Want to see y'all's take on it.
Zach, Donnie Darko next week?
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it, so it'll be an interesting rewatch.
Greg?
I don't even know if I have to rewatch this because I've seen it so many times. So.
You have to.
All right, I'll watch it again.
Because you're the one who said it. You watch movies differently since checking out this podcast.
I've seen this one plenty of times.
Oh shit!
In between that, yeah.
The last time I watched it was a few years ago before I got on a plane, so I probably shouldn't have watched it before I got on a plane.
No,
okay.
This is fine. Final Destination is different.
Yeah,
watch before getting on a plane.
Or what's that TV show, The Forgotten or whatever, where they all fucking disappear?
Lost?
No.
Manifest.
Yeah. Dude said Lost.
Lost.
We know exactly where those people were. They were on the island.
Anybody have anything that they want to get out of the way as far as Black Adam before we go on to the next? I'm going to announce the entire month of February.
Do we have any mailbag?
No mailbag this week.
Ooh.
But like I said, next week is Donnie Darko on February the 6th. February the 13th, the day before Valentine's Day, we're talking about Ghost with Patrick Swayze. Little love action flick before Valentine's Day on Monday, February 13th. February 20th, we go back to the theater and we check out Ant-Man Quantumania. And then we end the month of February with The Princess's Bride. A very, very highly recommended film that people have been wanting us to talk about.
Hello, Princess.
Andre the Giant documentary is on Peacock and HBO Max. If you guys are interested, go check it out. I believe his birthday was just a few days ago. So
whose birthday?
Andre the Giant. So next week, Donnie Darko, February the 6th, new month, new episode. Join us live right here. New episode, Cine-Men Movie Podcast. Have it your way.